Pour Out Your Story Publishing presents Hidden Above Her, Part 1 by Kandle Bossfield. Read by Marshawn Francoeur. The Flowers on the Wall. I want to run back out the front door, but self-doubt holds me back like a prison guard. My reality is staring at me with a Rick James apron, folded butterscotch arms, and stands there like a blinking statue with dramatically concerned eyelashes. She's Elaine Dunmore, a.k.a. Mom, a.k.a. Laney. Her smile can make a blind man see, but she'd still pop him upside the head if he got out of line. I eye her. So, plan B it is. I had to stay and fight. I gave her the rundown of everything that just happened at Todd's place. She has this expression of worry, but what comes out of her mouth isn't comforting at all. Bless your troubled heart, Symphony. I only invited a few people. Don't worry, she says in her most sultry southern accent. My mother's voice is soft in manner, but she has a high-pitched tone like she's reading the church announcements on a microphone. I always have to remind her that I'm standing in front of her and not down the street. My plan was to go upstairs, mind my business, and be miserable behind closed doors. I don't want to be in this emotional state in front of the world. You know what I mean? Mom, thank you, but no thank you. I don't like surprises. I lean against the kitchen island. She places one fist on the side of her thick diamond belt, and the flared black dress shifts when she moves her voluptuous thighs. The knives on her sexy heels make a clunk as she shifts her feet. She always says, women always wear modest dresses, but the Lord didn't say anything about heels. Now that ain't in the Bible. Mom's holding a weapon, a broom. Symphony, you worked 4 years for your degree. Why wouldn't you want to celebrate? I throw out my palms, begging for her to understand. Listen, I don't want to be bothered right now. Mom, cancel the party. Her eyes grew wide as if I told her to kiss my ass. She shakes her head, her perfectly cut bangs slightly move above her eyebrows, and a piece of her bob hairdo flips, but then falls back in place like nothing ever happened. I can't cancel at the last minute. Besides, you'll be abandoning your mother to fend for herself in this big old house. You need to be around family before you leave, girl. You gonna make my fibromyalgia flare up. It's not my fault you kicked Daddy out for no reason, and you don't have fibromyalgia, I say, giving off the first shot into this war. Bang, bang. My mother is so afraid of catching some type of disease that she's diagnosed herself, not the doctor. She sucks in air and her eyeballs scan the room in a panic like she heard a noise. She puts her index finger in front of her mouth. Shush, Symphony. You shut your mouth, girl. Don't you know the Lord is listening? You do know it's a commandment to honor your father and mother now, don't you? It's in the Bible. You don't want your days cut short on this earth now, do you? Remember to fear God and keep His commandments. Here she goes. My mother can be so dramatic, but she has the ability to stay so poised and full of grace, like she's too good to lose control. She's calm at times, but a little too calm to say the least. She curls her painted red lips. She must have found some truth in my insult because she's pissed off. I don't know why, because she did kick Dad out for no reason. Not that it's any of your business, but I kicked your father out because he's a cheater. You hear me? A cheater he is, little girl. I'm giving you this dinner party whether you like it or not. Mom, Daddy never cheated. It's all in your head, just like the fibromyalgia diagnosis you gave yourself. I say under my breath. I fold my arms. Louder I add, well, I won't be there. She points her finger with every word. Symphony, I'm sorry your engagement ended so quickly with that foolish boy. But if you are missing in action tonight, it's going to take a special kind of surgeon to retrieve my Bible from your behind. Then I guess they'll give that job offer to somebody else now, won't they? Whew, says Tava, with a smirk on her face, standing in the kitchen entrance. She looks down at her shorts and pretends to wipe off an imaginary bug. The stir of anxiety turns into a full-fledged tornado in my stomach. Facts are, they're going to give the job to somebody else anyway because I'm not graduating on time. I have to tell Mom, but what would I say? I didn't study because I wanted to spend time with Todd. Remember him? The one with the prostitute? Nope, I can't do it. I can't tell her right now. Mom slides a purple mitten on her hand. She pulls the baked beans out of the oven, mumbling something under her breath about ungrateful children. Yep, now she's mad. But is she mad enough to cancel the party? I spin the anxiety ring. Yep, that's what I need. A controlled rhythm. Yes, that's what I want. Control is what I need. Symphony, get the butter out of the refrigerator, she demands. I open the refrigerator and reach down to grab the butter from inside the door. Symphony, close the refrigerator. You're letting out the cold air, she snaps in frustration. Mom, I just opened it. Hush up. If your father was here, you wouldn't be talking back like this. But I wasn't. I hung your party dress on the closet door. Go get your clothes on. You have a few hours before the guests arrive. And Tava, stop acting like you're not listening. Girl, ain't nothing on your shorts, Mom says, wiping the counter with a floral dish towel. I guess I lost this war. But why does she treat me like I'm a 10-year-old girl who needs help finding a training bra at Macy's? It's just not right. But I don't have to worry about it now because I'll be on a plane tomorrow, and there's nothing that's going to stop me. I've got at least $6,000 in the bank to last me a good 2 months in LA with no job. I'll bust tables at the Piggly Wiggly for my half of the rent if I have to. I don't ever want to move back here. I sigh. I say, we're adults, remember? Don't you think we're a little too old for you to be picking out our party outfits? I agree, says Tava. Mom stops wiping and passes us an inquisitive side-eye. I gotta work on that. But I ain't making no promises. She looks back and forth at us with a get-out-of-my-face squint. Thank you, I say sarcastically as I walk away. I head up the dark, steep staircase. I have no choice but to endure the painful sight of millions of tiny purple flowers with a dreadful yellow background on the wall. My mom insists that we keep the house in its original state from when her grandfather owned it, no matter how hideous it looks. On the way up, I gaze down over the wooden rail at Grandma Bonnie's old room. Her door is slightly open. Nobody ever goes inside there except my father, from time to time, and my mother might go in there to dust. One time, my mother asked me to get the duster from the nightstand in there, but as soon as I stepped in, the coldness made the hairs on my arms stand. Year 1 with Grandma Bonnie. Grandma Bonnie was the meanest woman I ever met. She had reddish skin, a round, yoga ball belly, thick ham hock arms, and wore 2 silver French braids with a part down the middle of her head. She always had on a satin rose muumuu dress, which she never washed because it smelled like the public bathroom. Most grandmothers love and spoil their grandchildren, but Grandma Bonnie was the total opposite. She always had this disgusted look on her face every time Duck, Tava, and I went to her house with Mom and Dad, which wasn't by choice. Grandma Bonnie's house smelled like old bananas, and she kept piles of clothes and mini Christmas artifacts everywhere. Tava, Duck, and I were too scared to sit down next to the clothes because we thought a creature might jump out and crawl on us, which meant we stood the entire visit. Tell those kids not to whisper in my house. Tell those kids not to look at me like that. Tell those kids not to touch my stuff, Grandma Bonnie said through her congested accent. She said, tell those kids. So much, I almost forgot we were related. My father was the only one in complete denial. Grandma Bonnie hated us. She's just an old woman. Don't take her too seriously, Dad would say. My father was the apple of Grandma's eye, but she treated everybody else like they didn't belong, including my mother. The story is, back in the 60s, Grandpa divorced her and joined one of the Black Hebrew Israelite organizations, which didn't allow interracial marriage. For years, Grandma Bonnie was a single mother, raising my dad and Tava's biological father, so Grandma grew accustomed to them doing everything around the house. But they eventually moved out on their own. Dad married Mom, and That's when Grandma treated my mother like she stole her man. So when Duck, Tava, and I came along, we were an extension of my mother, which made us the enemy by default. Dad would say, "Mother, say hi." Her nostrils would flare at me, Duck, Tava, and my mother like we were stinky vinegar. Grandma Bonnie's carpet was a shaggy dark brown color. I remember thinking, why would someone want boo-boo colored carpet? Truth is, I hated bugs, so I was too scared that something might jump out and suck me back into the carpet, and I would never be found again. Tava would whisper, "Why do we gotta take off our shoes in this nasty-ass house?" Duck would lift up his foot and examine the bottom of his white sock. He would say, "This carpet is getting my brand new Nike socks dirty. Gorillas don't even live like this in the jungle." Mom would sit there with a pretty smile, and sometimes she would clean up while Dad talked to Grandma in the Samoan language. But Dad was the only one who could understand. Grandma Bonnie never spoke to Mom directly. She would look at Dad and say, "Tell your wife not to touch my stuff. I like it right where it is." Now that she said in English. One day Dad told us Grandma Bonnie had diabetes, which explained the 20 packs of unwrapped candy we saw on the kitchen floor. Dad couldn't take it anymore, seeing Grandma Bonnie living in filth, barely taking care of herself at 80 years old. "Mother, I want you to move in with us," Dad said. My mom would look at my dad like he left his mind in the car.